In today's video, we're looking at some of the more touching moments that have ever been recorded in sports history. Kinda like how this 12-year-old boy chases dreams despite his condition, or how these two ladies kept up each other's morale even though they were competitors. In sports it goes, you're not my enemy, you're my opponent. 4-year-old rugby legend. We all know that rugby can be pretty dangerous. You can see how spine-breaking some of those collisions are. Plus, unlike football, nothing protects our players from high-impact moments. Still, if one of our little techs wants to get into the sport, it's not like we're gonna stop them from achieving their dream. Some parents even have their kids, barely out of toddler years, start training in the sport. After all, this is so they can play with their sports icon one day when they're all grown up. However, this little boy didn't need to wait that long to be up on the field with rugby legends. During a rugby charity game featuring former players from New South Wales and Queensland, this kid had gotten lost and found himself on the pitch. Instead of just ushering him off, the players gave him the ball so that he could join the game, and boy did he run. Watch as he avoids the professionals' tackles and makes it to the goal. That's one story he's bound to tell his friends at school and probably for the rest of his life. Humble Superboy. Oftentimes when we're met with an obstacle, our first instinct is to simply reel away. Why is that though? Well, because sometimes our minds like to play tricks on us and scare us due to the possibility of failure. But that shouldn't even be something we need to be afraid of. Spencer's circumstances didn't make him stay away from doing what he likes, despite what everybody else might think. Spencer Hogg is a 12-year-old suffering from TAR syndrome, a rare disease that left him with no arms and no legs. Despite that though, the 12 surgeries he's had to endure as well, he still commits to the sports he enters. Previously, he's done cycling, water skiing, and karate. Now his favorite pastime is wrestling at Bolts Middle School where he studies. No size difference or obvious enemy advantages could sway him not to participate. Of course though, Spencer doesn't want much given the circumstances, but that doesn't get him down. If anything, it's a lesson on humility and courage for both him and his friends. Jaime Esconder's final goal. Sometimes all it takes is love from your buddies for the world to know how great you were. Jaime Esconder was a Chilean footballer that the world initially knew very little about. However, post-mortem, due to a tribute his team had done before sending him off, every soul shed a tear before the fallen striker. In the video, his teammates positioned his coffin in the 6-yard box. Soon one kicked a ball towards it, causing the ball to rebound into the goal. Dozens of onlookers cheered as it did, with some releasing multitudes of fireworks into the clear sunny sky. His friends, however, they all walked towards his coffin, knelt and hugged it, draping it with the team's colors. "He brought us together," said Felipe Orlana, the man behind the camera. "What he leaves us is that unity." Esconder's club added on a Facebook post that the tribute was something else, a goal celebrated with pity and tears. They also believed that their idol was celebrating in heaven with all of his soul. Of all this though, there's just one thing everybody wishes Esconder understands, that your legacy will never be forgotten. Olympic sportsmanship. Moments of sportsmanship are always tearjerkers, especially at the biggest sports events. Just take what happened between the New Zealand runner Nikki Hamblin and American runner Abby D'Agostino. During the Rio 2016 Olympic Games, D'Agostino accidentally clipped Hamblin from behind, causing both to fall heavily on the track while they had 2,000 meters of the race left. Instead of getting up and continuing by herself, D'Agostino put a hand on Hamblin's shoulder and offered to help the day's competitor. She actually did more than that though. She also held Hamblin up and urged her not to quit the race when she saw Hamblin crying. What's more impressive, however, is that it appeared that D'Agostino was probably the one that was worse off. They then both started running again, and she soon realized that she'd hurt her ankle in the fall. Still, she persevered, with Hamblin hanging back, cheering for her for a good chunk of the race. Eventually, in a moment that gave people goosebumps, both girls crossed the finish line and shared a teary embrace. That's true Olympic spirit right there. True victory. Could you ever imagine giving up the victory to help a competitor in need, especially with others close behind you? Honestly, I'd probably just want to win before running back to check on the one sprawled on the ground, but that's probably why I'm not in sports. However, Kenyan long-distance runner Simon Chaprot had no hesitations in choosing his fellow runner's welfare over his victory. During the IAAF Silver Label International 10K, fellow Kenyan runner Kenneth Kipkemoy collapsed just a few feet away from the finish line. Rather, instead of sprinting even harder to take home the glory once again, he actually stopped running and helped his countryman to his feet. Chaprot had already won over in 2016, so I guess he figured that he was good for this anyway. Being completely selfless, Shepard dragged Kenneth off the track and towards the finish line while others went past the pair. Soon after crossing, Shepard called for the medics to have Kip Kamoy checked, not once having regret appear on his face. That is what you call a true champion right there. More people like Chaprat, perhaps the world would be a more peaceful place to be in. A father's affection. Nothing's gonna stop a father from helping fulfill their children's dreams, no matter how often he gets angry if you take too long to grab the TV remote for him. Just look at what happened in the Olympics in 1992, for example. In 1986, Derek Redmond was a member of the team that won the 4x400 meter relay gold medal championships. The following year, he was also on the crew that won silver at the World Championships, and finally in 1991, he helped stun the world by being part of the group that beat the Americans to claim the gold medal in a similar relay. That's why people thought Redmond would take home the gold medal when he competed in the 1992 Olympics. It was fine and well during the quarterfinal, but Redmond's hamstring tore 250 meters from the finish during the semi. This devastating injury caused him to fall to the ground in pain. Still, he was determined to finish the race, despite ambulances rushing to pick him up. As soon as he saw this, though, his father ran over and helped his son complete the lap by letting him lean on his shoulder. Great job, Mr. Redmond. UFC heroes. Diego Sanchez is known to unleash terror through powerful strikes inside the octagon, but in 2017 he did just the opposite. In a match against Isaac the Shermanator Marquez, Diego lost his title to help his superfan achieve his dream. Honestly, what he did was a pretty class act. Instead of making the match very one-sided, Sanchez did a back and forth to make the whole thing believable to Isaac. The crowd also took Marquez's side and cheered him on through each grapple and strike he dished out. At the end of the night, Marquez defeated his idol with a first-round submission after putting the UFC fighter in an armbar, receiving a massive ovation once Sanchez tapped out. Soon, the crowd saw the 32-year-old with Down syndrome raising both arms as he soaked in all the attention from the adoring crowd. As for Sanchez, he couldn't be happier. He told local TV broadcaster KRQE that he just wanted to see Isaac be healthy. And what's healthier than exercise and martial arts? I don't really watch MMA much, but this whole thing did make me a fan of both men. I'm cheering for him. Now it's time for the day's best pick. What would you do if you saw somebody that needed help in the middle of the competition? Especially since they don't appear to be in any immediate danger. F1 Uber. I've seen quite a few F1 races, online of course, but none of them showed camaraderie like this. We have a 4-time world champion that's become somewhat of a meme since he started working for Ferrari, so much so that some people have begun referring to his unforced spins as the Seb spin. In all videos I've seen though, whenever he spun or crashed out, nobody but the commentator seemed to bat an eye anymore. Back in 2017 though, after Vettel's car was damaged during a lap, instead of walking back to the pits, fellow German Pascal Wehrlein gave him a ride. Pretty cool considering he could have just gone ahead and tried his hardest to snag a spot on the podium. Some people decided to poke fun at this incident, saying that this helping Vettel may be the highlight of Wehrlein's career. Not a cool way to go, guys, but at least Wehrlein seemed to understand the lightheartedness of it all, as in a tweet he jokingly asked where he could submit his invoice for the ride. Frenemies. I'll be honest with you guys, I know next to nothing about the MotoGP, or most of these sports for example, yet somehow I found out about this touching taxi moment during one of the events. After Ren's motor stopped working after going off track, the Suzuki rider was forced to hitch a ride from his fellow competitors. Thing is though, nobody really stopped for him. Until the Ducati rider, Miller, arrived, that is. After that, the claim seems like a ride between buddies going off to work. It couldn't be further from the truth though. According to MotoGP fans, Rins and Miller are the fiercest of opponents. During the season that this taxi incident happened, they were neck and neck at almost every single race. Honestly, imagine stopping during a race where every second counts to help out your rival. Shows that despite all the competition, respect outweighs the want to win. Still, that doesn't mean he can't poke some fun at his rival. According to fans, Miller even popped a wheelie at the last strip before entering the pits so that Rin would have to hold on for dear life not to fall. Ah yeah, can't be too nice now. Before we move on, I've got a little challenge for you that'll take 5 seconds to complete. So here's the deal. You just leave a like on this video, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell, and you will get 25 years of amazing luck. Try it, it really works. The dreams he carried. Team Hoyt refers to the father and son tandem, Dick and Rick Hoyt. Together they competed in various athletic endeavors such as the Ironman triathlons. What makes them so unique though, you ask? Well, Father Dick Hoyt lends his body to his quadriplegic son Rick so that he can compete in these challenges. You see, Rick Hoyt was diagnosed with cerebral palsy at birth. Doctors encouraged Dick to have his son institutionalized so they could forget about him, saying Rick would be nothing more than a vegetable. Still, the Hoyts loved their son and believed in him, so they brought him home. Years later, Rick asked his father if they could run in a race that benefited a lacrosse player at his school who had become paralyzed. He wanted to prove that life went on regardless of disabilities. This became the start of their long history in athletics, and the duo only stopped in 2019 when Dick was far too old to continue. God, what a dad. See you all next time.